What's up, guys? It's Drew, and I am back so soon, especially with that damage protected, zero damage, death blow shenanigans that I uploaded this weekend. I thought it would actually be fun to patch this thing on a quick unscripted video that would demonstrate how to fix it. And in fact, I've got a timer so I can try to speed run it. Speed running a patch. I wonder if there's a category for that yet, Tenka. Alright, so I want to show you what I have on screen, explain what I have. Top left and middle is 0 and 0 editor. I have the hex location, I have the hex editor open for UMK3 revision 1.2. And in the middle window here, I have the disassembly of UMK3 revision 1.2. On the top right hand side, I have the TMS assembler window, and you can download that. It's made by Abystus and updated by Paul. I'll have a link in the description to download that if you want to mess with a or an assembly code editor. Moving on, I have a couple of debugger windows in the middle of the screen. Bottom left is a timer, and then obviously the game and the debugger itself. So without too much more fanfare, I am going to get started. I have the windows ready to go, and now we're just going to hit the start button, and we are going to explain the fix, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the timer is started, and immediately I'm going to do a state save. We have Sub-Zero and Scorpion up here. So I also want to set a breakpoint for the beginning of the apply damage routine. And I also, for ease of use of the assembler application, we're just going to put the routine in there because we'll need it. So I have my ideas on what we can do. Let's see if we can do it. Silent combat, thank you, WB. So jump kick. Now here's what we really want to look at. So the damage in A10 is 1A. That's what a standing jump kick or a jump kick does before it triggers damage protection. So we want to try to key off of this, and we step through the code. You see, we have the applying damage routine, which runs through the checks to see, like I mentioned in the last video, if we have damage protection to set, and then progressing on through. So the thing we need to understand is zero damage attacks, whether they are damage protected or not, don't need to be run through damage protection because there's zero damage. There's no use in having them run. So the best thing to do is just to bypass the damage protection routine altogether the applied damage routine altogether when a zero damage move is done. So what we'll do is we'll evaluate some things, and if it ends up indeed being a zero damage attack from the rip, we will just go to the application of zero damage and subtracting 0 from the opponent's health bar. So we're going to start by hooking into the routine at the very beginning. Because if we go to the very beginning, we can just bypass the rest of the code if it is truly, like I said, a zero damage protection attack, or a zero damage attack that doesn't need damage protection applied. And we're going to apply the additional code here at C0 hex address in the hex editor, which ends up being FF80 0600 in the game code. So we're going to do that there. And what we need to do immediately is we need to copy the original bytes. We want to duplicate them because we don't want to miss any code. We don't want to leave any code out when we hook in. We want to make sure that's there. So now, what we're going to do, because the value in A10 does not change until it gets run through the damage protection protocols for double damage protection or damage protection. So A10 does not change until there. So we can always evaluate A10 at the beginning of the routine. So what we'll do is we will move A10 to A10, which will allow us to evaluate 0. So JAEQ is jump absolute if equal. So when you move the register value to the register and immediately evaluate, you're evaluating for 0. We're not comparing any values. So we know in order to skip all the damage routine and get right to applying damage to the life bar, we jump to FFB00360 hex. So we're going to do that. So move A10 to A10, and if that value is equal to 0, we're just going to jump right to the application of 0 damage. Otherwise, we will jump, or we will evaluate the bytes, and we will go back to the routine. So let's run this in the code hotfix style. So what we'll do is we'll first write the code to hook in, and then we'll write the new code. Okay, so there we have it. Now let's set a state save. Call it dpfix2, and then we'll just run it through again, just to make sure that everything runs correctly. So we're moving A10 to A10. It is not a 0 damage move, so we're going to jump back to the original bytes, which is A1, which is that 160 hex value of the of Scorpion's object thread from the previous video. And it is not double damage protection. It is not damage protection, although it will set damage protection later. So that does the correct amount of damage. Now let's try what we did before to make sure that this damage protected attack works correctly and still and does half damage. So the high kick will come in next. So bear with me a second. Let's see if we can get this right on the first try. I had to move my controller right next to my mouse so I can click, click, click. And here we go. There we are. So now we're moving A10 to A10 again. Of course, it's not 0. So we're going to go back, and we're not going to hit double damage protection, but we are going to hit standard damage protection. And A10 is going to be cut in half. The value at A10, which is 18, is going to be cut in half to C. And then we get a little bit of damage subtracted from Scorpion. So that's good. So now we're going to go back and do a state load, so we can get back to there, have a little bit more time on our hands. And now I'm going to quickly change Scorpion's damage to 1B hex. And we're going to cancel the breakpoint. So what should happen here is we should hit Scorpion with a standing jump kick, or hit him while he's standing with a jump kick, and then we will freeze him, and we should not end the round. There we go. And so we were about 8 minutes or so into that fix. Not too bad. To complete the fix, we would actually run this into, we would either copy it in manually, we'd copy the bytes in manually, or we would use the TMS assembler, but I have this set up for that one ROM hack that some guy's been working on for a few years. So I'm not going to do that here. That might be a topic for another time. So, but that does indeed fix things. I do want to show you that double damage protection with Liu Kang still works. So let's run the... Alright, now Liu, come on. Lewis C. Kang over here needs to get it together. Alright, so here we go. Alright, we got breakpoint set. Let me set the controller next to my mouse. Do a little click, click, click. There we go, we got it. Alright, so the damage value in A10, of course, is 18 because it's a standing high kick. It's not a zero damage routine. This is the big test because we have a bit test here and a jump immediately afterwards. And double damage protection. Kapow. Look at that. So there you go. 12 minutes of work, 8 minutes for a fix, 4 minutes for me to be some low-level guy that doesn't know how to move a couple of mouse buttons and a controller at the same time. But we got it, and we have a fix that took... I'm not going to count these bytes up here because those are already part of the game code. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 bytes of code, and it's fixed. You don't ever have to worry about that again. Now, I could create a patch file for this using Lunar IPS if there's enough interest for it so that people can see kind of how it works on 1.2, provided you're doing it legally, of course, because otherwise that would be illegal, and I don't condone illegal activity. Probably won't write a cheat for it because that's too much. But that is going to do it, guys. I think this video might actually end up being longer than the original video explaining how damage protection works, and that's my fault. But thanks for sticking with it, guys. I appreciate it very much, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.